On a single day this week, the artificial intelligence industry sent two messages that only seemed to contradict each other. In the afternoon, Micron reported a quarter so large it reads like a typo and said its most precious component is sold out for years. Hours later, researchers showed that anyone with a free account could seize control of code at Microsoft, Google, Apache, and Cloudflare. We have locked in the supply of intelligence and left the assembly line that builds on it wide open. This is a field view across memory, agents, security, data, and governance. Start with a number that anchors everything. Micron, the one American maker of the memory that sits directly on NVIDIA and Google accelerators, reported quarterly revenue of $41.5 billion. That is up 346% from a year ago, with a record gross margin of nearly 85%. Management then guided next quarter to about $50 billion. Demand for hardware has stopped being a forecast. It has become a contract. When a commodity memory company posts an 85% gross margin, the market is not paying for chips. It is paying for the certainty that no one else can deliver the part. Micron disclosed 16 customer agreements worth about $100 billion in minimum contracted revenue, and said high bandwidth memory is now sold out, with tightness locked and beyond 2027. The scarce input is no longer something you buy. It is a queue you reserved a slot in 18 months ago. What is pulling all that memory through the system? Increasingly, agents. Gartner now puts AI agent software spending at about $206 billion in 2026, up 139% in a single year. But the readiness behind that spend is thin. Only about 15% of organizations are fully ready to run agents in production, even as most are already investing millions. The appetite is racing ahead of the operational maturity. Now the second story. Researchers at Novi Security disclosed a class of pipeline flaws they call Cordyceps. Scanning about 30,000 high-impact code repositories, they found more than 300 to be fully exploitable, including projects at Microsoft, Google, Apache, and Cloudflare. The privilege required is almost nothing. A free account can forge approvals, push code, and steal long-lived keys. The factory that builds our software answers to an anonymous pull request. And here's the connection most coverage misses. The same agentic AI driving demand is also industrializing the vulnerability. AI coding assistants are generating pipeline configuration at enormous scale, and they reproduce the same insecure patterns over and over. The breach has moved from what agents do at runtime to how software is assembled. The same week also brought an actively exploited Cisco flaw, with attackers dropping web shells on unpatched systems. The plumbing, not the application, is where the fight is now. Data engineers should pay close attention here, because a pipeline is a pipeline. A continuous integration system ingests source, transforms it through build steps, and emits an artifact that everything downstream trusts by default. Everything our discipline learned about governing data, lineage, provenance, and least privilege access applies directly to the software supply chain, and we have been applying almost none of it. We obsess over whether a column can be trusted, while granting a fork pull request the authority to publish a release. Regulation, meanwhile, is aiming at the wrong end of the stack. The European Union's AI Act transparency rules become enforceable on August 2nd, requiring organizations to label AI-generated content and disclose when users talk to a machine. These are sensible rules, but notice the asymmetry. We are about to legally require a watermark on the output of an AI system, while the construction of that system runs through pipelines an anonymous account can compromise. Governance is policing the last mile and ignoring the factory. Zoom out, and the capital frame holds. The 5 largest cloud providers are guided to spend on the order of $725 billion on AI infrastructure this year, inside total data center spending that now crosses $1 trillion. Micron's $100 billion of contracted memory is a single, concrete tributary of that river. The money is committed. The silicon is reserved. The agents are budgeted. The capacity is already spoken for. So here's the through line of the week. In one sentence, we have pre-sold the capacity and undersecured the construction. The scarce input is locked into contracts that run past 2027. The abundant input, software increasingly written by agents, was shown to be hijackable at the scale of the world's largest engineering organizations. So treat your build pipeline like production data. Assume your capacity is already constrained. Earn the right to run agents. And sign your artifacts, not just your disclosures. Capability is no longer the question. Neither, now, is capacity. The question is integrity. Can you prove the system you deployed was built from code no one tampered with? Supply is contracted. Construction is not. The work of the next 2 quarters is to govern the build without slowing the buy. I am Matt Suhil Mattis. Thanks for watching, and I would love to hear how you see it.